Imagine making a choice so desperate that the price of escaping starvation is sacrificing your physical manhood, your dignity, and your very identity as a human being. In 18th century China, during the height of the Qing Dynasty, thousands of young men and poverty-stricken boys faced this exact nightmare. Dressed in threadbare rags amidst brutal famines in rural provinces like Hebei and Shandong, peasant families faced a horrific choice: watch their sons starve to death, or pay a specialized knife master, known as a jingsher, to perform a crude, agonizing surgical procedure without modern anesthesia or antibiotics. The survival rate was terrifyingly low, with nearly 20% of victims dying from massive blood loss, excruciating shock, or rampant postoperative infection. Those who survived had a hollow bamboo tube inserted into their urethra for weeks to prevent the healing scar tissue from closing their urinary tract entirely, lying motionless in dark, filthy rooms for days without a single drop of water. They did not undergo this horrific mutilation out of a grand desire for imperial power. They did it simply so they could secure a bowl of rice and survive another year. But entering the Forbidden City as an imperial eunuch did not grant you freedom or security. It turned you into a nameless, disposable cog inside the grandest and most unforgiving autocratic machine in human history. It is 3 a.m. inside the frozen, dark servants' quarters of the Forbidden City. Long before the pre-dawn sun touches the golden ceramic roof tiles of the grand palaces, a sharp bronze bell echoes through the narrow, red-walled alleys of the service quarters. You wake up on a hard, freezing brick Qing bed, packed tightly shoulder to shoulder alongside dozens of other low-ranking eunuchs. The room is heavy with the suffocating stench of stale sweat, damp wood, and a far more degrading smell that follows eunuchs everywhere they go: urine. Because the crude castration procedure destroyed delicate sphincter muscles and bladder nerves, a vast majority of eunuchs suffered from severe, lifelong urinary incontinence. To hide this humiliating condition from high-ranking court officials, you are forced to wear thick, scented cloth pads wrapped tightly beneath your dark silk robes, changing them constantly in the dark to avoid smelling like waste in front of your masters. But before stepping out into the biting morning air, your trembling hands reach up toward the dark wooden rafters above your sleeping mat to check the single, most valuable object you own on this earth: your bao wudo, or treasured pouch. Inside this small, cloth-wrapped jar, sealed with red sealing wax and preserved in oil and fragrant spices, are your severed body parts. In Qing Dynasty society, deeply rooted in Confucian filial piety, your body was a gift from your ancestors, and dying incomplete was considered an unforgivable spiritual curse. Without your bao wudo, imperial court custom dictated that you could never be buried in your ancestral family plot, condemned instead to wander the afterlife as a mutilated, restless ghost for all eternity. High-ranking eunuchs kept their pouches suspended high in the rafters as a symbolic wish for professional promotion, a visual metaphor for rising elevated. If a low-ranking eunuch lost his pouch to theft or fire, he would spend his entire life's meager savings trying to buy it back from corrupt palace keepers before his death. Holding the small jar in your hands for a quiet second, you offer a silent prayer, tuck it safely back into the rafters, and hurry out into the freezing courtyard to begin your day. By 4:30 a.m., your physical labor begins, and it is degrading beyond imagination. As a junior eunuch, you sit at the absolute bottom of a ruthless, multi-layered palace hierarchy consisting of over 3,000 eunuchs. Your primary morning duty is the disposal and meticulous cleaning of hundreds of imperial chamber pots, known as guanfang. The royal family and high-ranking consorts did not use static toilets. Instead, they used beautifully carved wooden and porcelain chamber pots filled with fresh pine sawdust and aromatic ash designed to absorb moisture and mask odors immediately. You and your fellow eunuchs must haul heavy wooden tubs filled with waste through miles of stone corridors, scrubbing every porcelain basin with stiff brushes and freezing water until not a single stain or scent remains. If an imperial consort complains of a lingering smell, or if you accidentally spill a single drop of dirty water onto the pristine marble floor of a palace courtyard, the consequences are immediate and violent. Corporal punishment inside the Forbidden City is governed by a terrifying zero-tolerance policy. The chief eunuch, the zongguan, walks the alleys carrying a heavy, flattened bamboo rod known as a banzi. For minor infractions like speaking out of turn, walking too fast, or dropping an imperial utensil, a eunuch is forced to strip to his waist, lie face down on the cold stone floor, and endure 20 to 50 agonizing strikes across his bare thighs and back. The beatings are delivered with calculated cruelty. Court records reveal that dozens of low-ranking eunuchs died every single year, not from natural illnesses, but from gangrene and systemic blood infections caused by untreated wounds following severe beatings. You learn quickly that the golden rule of survival inside the palace is absolute invisibility. Keep your head bowed, your eyes fixed on the stone floor tiles, your mouth shut, and your presence entirely unfelt. By 7 a.m., the imperial household prepares for breakfast, but your role in the dining hall is far from luxurious. When you are assigned to serve food to the emperor or a senior imperial consort, you are not merely a waiter, you are a human shield. In a court rife with deadly political rivalries, poisoning was a constant, terrifying threat. Before a royal master takes a single bite of food from a silver platter, a designated eunuch must step forward and taste every single dish in front of imperial inspectors. If a rival political faction or a jealous consort secretly dropped lethal arsenic or mercury into a bowl of swallow's nest soup, you are the one who will swallow it first. You stand motionless beside the dining table, watching your fellow eunuch place a spoonful of broth into his mouth, holding your breath for several agonizing minutes to see if he collapses, vomits blood, or doubled over in fatal convulsions on the polished stone floor. However, if you manage to survive the grueling physical labor of your youth and climb the administrative ladder into senior roles, the Forbidden City reveals its dark, lucrative second face, a shadow economy built entirely on systemic bribery and political extortion. Because eunuchs were the only adult males permitted to cross freely into the inner court where the female imperial consorts lived, they became the ultimate gatekeepers of power. By 5 p.m. every evening, as dusk settles over the red walls of the palace, the chief eunuch enters the emperor's private study, holding a polished silver tray containing dozens of green-headed wooden name tablets, known as Lu Tu Pai. Each tablet bore the name of a different imperial consort or concubine. The emperor would casually glance at the tray and flip one tablet over, selecting his female companion for the night. What the emperor rarely realized was that the arrangement of those tablets was entirely controlled by eunuchs running a multi-million-tael bribery syndicate. Desperate consorts, isolated in their lonely palaces and terrified of falling out of royal favor, would secretly bribe senior eunuchs with massive chests of silver bullion, rare jade carvings, and gold jewelry, just to ensure their name tablet was placed right at the front of the tray, where the emperor's fingers would naturally reach. A single strategic move by a chief eunuch could elevate an obscure teenage concubine to the rank of imperial consort overnight, or leave a rival woman to rot in forgotten solitude for the rest of her life. Powerful eunuchs like Dihai and Li Lianing under Empress Dowager Cixi accumulated vast personal fortunes through this shadow network, controlling state appointments, extorting provincial governors, and wielding more functional power than top imperial ministers. By 8 p.m., the massive, iron-studded red gates of the Forbidden City swing shut with a deafening thud, locked securely from the outside. The heavy brass keys are delivered directly to the chief security officer, sealing the entire imperial complex until the next morning. No one enters, and no one leaves. You retreat back to your cramped dormitory room, exhaustion pulling at every muscle in your body. Sitting on the edge of your wooden sleeping mat, the heavy silence of the night settles over the palace, bringing with it a crushing, inescapable psychological weight. You look around the dimly lit room at the quiet, aged faces of your fellow eunuchs. You have no wife to comfort you, no children to carry on your name, and no family lineage to honor your memory when you are gone. To the aristocratic court officials who walk the upper halls, you are nothing more than a castrated slave, a biological abnormality to be used and discarded. To the outside peasant world beyond the high red walls, you are viewed with disgust as a half-man who betrayed his ancestors for palace silver. You surrendered your body, your manhood, and your human dignity just to guarantee a daily bowl of rice, only to find yourself trapped inside history's most luxurious, golden prison. In 8 short hours, at 3 a.m., the sharp bronze bell will echo through the cold alleys once again, and you will wake up to scrub chamber pots, taste poisoned food, and bow your head to the stone floor. Because in the Qing Dynasty, absolute imperial power required absolute human subjugation, and you are the ultimate casualty of its grand design.